Welcome back to FryMinis. I'm Eric, and today in our Monsters of the Multiverse coverage, we're going to take a look at the updated playable race, Bugbears. Okay, in the continuing drama that is my haircut situation, some of you asked to see my hair without stuff in it, without my gel, my product type of stuff. Here you go. It's flat. It's freshly clean. I don't know. What do you think? Spiky-ish hair? This hair? Try to do I need some help here. I'm having some real hair drama in my life. So, thanks. Okay, so Bugbear has never been my #1 favorite playable race, but it is one of my favorite very low-level monsters. I think a lot of us are familiar with a certain Bugbear and a certain mine that can just completely destroy a party. But I think it's a cool option to have. And I really like how it fits in with the whole spread of like goblinoid type people. So cool. All right, let's take a look. Bugbear, neither bugs nor bears. Bugbears are the hulking cousins of goblins and hobgoblins. With roots in the Feywild, early bugbears resided in hidden places in hard to reach and shadowed spaces. Long ago, and from out of the corner of your eye, they came to the material plane, urged to spread throughout the multiverse by the conquering god Bugbear. Centuries later, they still bear a fey gift from lurking just out of sight, and many of them have sneaked away from that god's influence. They are long of limb and covered in coarse hair, with wedge-shaped ears and pointed teeth. Despite their formidable build, bugbears are quiet skulkers thanks to fey magic that allows them to hide in spaces seemingly too small for them. I think I've seen a lot of people with pretty varied opinions on pivoting goblinoids, so goblins, hobgoblins, bugbears, into this fey-related type of space. I think it's interesting, and I think fleshing out the Feywild is great. Let's just flesh out some of the other planes too, but we'll take what we can get. Okay, so taking a look at the actual mechanical traits, the bugbears have the same situation as everything else in this book. For our stats, we're +2 and +1, or 3 different +1s. Our age, our height, our languages, that's all the same as everywhere else here. And while my feelings have already been covered in the other videos, they remain. So let's look at the actual traits. Bugbears are humanoid. You are also considered a goblinoid for any prerequisite or effect that requires you to be a goblinoid. So that's new. That's new kind of language that I think is really, that's really interesting and can set up a lot of future stuff. So imagine those like racial traits. So the Dragonborn scale armor type thing and then you get the claws. Imagine if that wasn't Dragonborn, but if that was for being like a scaled race, so like reptilian or something. And then in the future, maybe a kobold could pick that up, or a lizard folk could pick that up. I think this is setting some really interesting groundwork, and I haven't seen enough attention called to this. I think this is going to be a big deal in the future. I don't know, I think. Your size is medium, your walking speed is 30 feet, you have 60 feet of dark vision. Fey ancestry. You have advantage on saving throws you make to avoid or end the charmed condition on yourself. Okay, so this is new. This ties us to our Fey ancestry and gives us that little bit of magic sense that I think is going to work in later with another feature. But this is totally brand new, so this is a straight up buff. Great. Long-limbed. When you make a melee attack on your turn, your reach for it is 5 feet greater than normal. So this is the same as before too. I think for balance, I think it makes sense that it's limited to just your turn, because those opportunity attacks could start to get kind of silly. But on the other hand, it's also like, these are your arms. How are your arms shorter when it's not your turn? Mechanically, I'm okay with the balance. The flavor, I'm not entirely sold on making logical sense, but no big deal. Powerful build. You count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity and the weight you can push, drag, or lift. This is still good. This is a lot of races have this, and I don't know that enough people really utilize this, right? So course, like grappling, things like that play in here. If you worry at all about encumbrance, and even if you're not mechanically looking at like the exact weight that something weighs, I think it's fun whenever there's something really heavy that the party has to move. If you just like, oh yeah, the person with this feature does it, and just kind of like working these features in a non-mechanical way, I think is helpful. Sneaky, you are proficient in the stealth skill. In addition, without squeezing, you can move through and stop in a space large enough for a small creature. Okay, so this is a tweak, right? So before stealth skill, we had that before, we have that now, which is cool and makes sense. But this new squeezing into a space, like they're big, they're lanky, but they're also, I mean, they're kind of pushing the boundaries of what a medium creature can be, kind of like a Goliath usually is. And then they're usually hanging out with hobgoblins and goblins, which you're starting to get into some narrow caves and things like that. So it works. I think the lore, the idea of it is super cool, super satisfying. I don't know how often this will actually come up. How often are your maps ever really limited by something into a small creature? Like if you're going through a cave specific dungeon, and maybe you've worked in those twists and turns, maybe. I don't think that's going to come up a lot, but I think it's really cool. I think it's really flavorful, and when it does come up, I think it'll be really helpful. So this is nice. I like it. It's particular, but I'm on board. Surprise attack. If you hit a creature with an attack roll, the creature takes an extra 2d6 damage if it hasn't taken a turn yet in the current combat. So this could be a significant upgrade. Before, you could only cause this damage to the 2d6, just one instance of it once per combat. Now it's once per creature. So a lot of the times, that'll probably still just be one creature, maybe two. But think of all the stuff you could build around this. Assassin, of course, Gloomstalker, anything that's focused on getting in there quickly and just acting like right off the bat. Hopefully something that gets extra attack, or maybe action surge, working with a fighter of some sort. I think this could be really cool. I mean, 2d6 that's not going to break the game. That's not going to destroy anything. But when you're able to maximize this and just really just like blow up a whole combat, I think it's going to feel so good. So I think this is a really, really neat feature that with just this little tweak of a language, I think is much better. Also, I am surprised that the language here is still per combat. I don't know. I don't really know anywhere else where we use that language. We don't really have like encounter type abilities in 5e. So I like the term per combat. I think encounter based abilities are ultimately a good and useful and understandable and like real world way to approach recharges. But I just don't know that super duper fits into 5e. Hopefully we'll see more of this. If you have any examples of per combat language in 5e, let me know in the comments. I'd really, really like to see some more of those. Okay, so Bugbear. I mean, I think that's objectively improved. Yes, the lore in this little chunk here is short, but mechanically, I think this is kind of like I think Bugbear's so fun. It's the big thing, but it's like, doesn't act like a big thing. I think is an interesting design space, I think. So Bugbear, cool ideas, cool execution. Am I ever going to play a Bugbear? Probably not, realistically. But I think this is definitely a contender for a good race. I don't think it sucks. There's my official review of Bugbear. Okay, so please like, subscribe, check out the playlist. We're putting everything in there. Check us out, FryMinis.com. Thanks for watching. We're going to keep working on these. Up next, Centaur.